Hello and welcome to another episode of eBay Scavengers. This is episode number 40 at ebayscavengers.com, and Jay and I are about to interview Sam and Sharon, who are eBay sellers in Australia. So here we are with Sam and Sharon, who are in Australia. Hey guys.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, we're super excited to hear you. We got a really nice note from you through our blog, and we just had no idea that other people outside of America did eBay the way we did. And when you sent that note, it just really resonated with us because you guys sound like you do the exact same thing we do. All the auctions and flea markets. I guess they call them something different there, and the stores.
They do call the things a little bit different, but it's a lot the same also. Like you call them yard sales, we call them garage sales, you know.
Yeah.
Much the same, all the same, and there's similar culture, and there's a lot of eBayers in Australia.
So why don't we just jump in here, and why don't you tell us kind of how you got started on eBay?
It was a few years ago. I had a motorbike that I was putting up for sale, and my son, who's I think he was about 27 at the time, he put me onto eBay. So I listed this red motorbike for sale, and we put it up for auction, and it went really well at auction. Anyway, the sale closed, and I'm emailing messaging the buyer. And I was messaging every day and getting no response. And this went on for a week and a half. And a friend of mine came up to me, and here I know nothing about eBay at that time. A friend came to me and said, I'll pay you that much for the motorbike. So I sold it to my friend and sent a message off to this guy who didn't respond and said, I've sold the motorbike to my friend. So we started with negative feedback. He gave me an earful.
I'm sure he did.
What did we do next, Sharon?
The next thing was we were closing down our business, and we had an office full of desks and chairs and, all filing cabinets, all sorts of things in the office. And our daughter was over from the UK, and she sort of said, we should try eBay, and just started listing things on eBay, and everything just sold to really good prices really quickly. So from, getting off to a really bad start, then we just got hooked because it went so well.
Yeah, it did. And we had a business that was like a building business, and we did a lot of demolition work. So we got to a point where we had so much furniture in our office, we couldn't even get to our tables without climbing over stuff. So,
so there was a lot to sell, and it sold really well.
So in Australia, is eBay a popular website?
Yeah, really
very popular. Yeah, a lot of people use it. A lot of people are buying and selling on it.
It's probably the biggest. Really? We use a couple of other sites like Craigslist is over here too, and there's Gumtree and a few other ones, and we use all of those. But eBay would have to be the biggest, wouldn't you think, Sharon?
The biggest and most popular.
Yeah, because you've got PayPal and all that sort of thing with eBay, and I think people just like it and like the protection that they get from eBay, from PayPal as well.
And do you find that you're selling mainly to people in Australia, or are you selling to a lot of people outside of the continent?
Mainly Australia, but we are getting sales both from the UK and from the US.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's funny when we had the heat. There was that big heat wave over in England. I don't know if you heard about it on your news, but we heard here, and they had 2 weeks of heat wave, and we just sold all these $10 water bottles to the UK. Thinking, what, don't you have water bottles in the UK?
Isn't that weird?
Plastic water bottle that you put in your fridge with a little tap on it.
Yeah.
They were selling hotcakes.
And we kept getting really good feedback, didn't we?
Yeah, everyone we sold. So it was pretty funny.
You guys were saying, and I really like this, how you bought a bunch of stuff from it's like a business going out of business, but that became a problem.
Yeah. So what we did after we sold all our office furniture, we thought, wow, this is great. So we went and bought 7,000 homeware items, but there was only 15 different items, but there was lots of each item.
Boxes and boxes and boxes.
We filled up our whole garage. It was, just absolutely, chockers with stuff. And we've been selling that stuff for the last 3 years. We only paid like $3,000 for these 7,000 items. We bought them really cheap. But 3 years later, we've only sold probably, what do you reckon, a third?
Yeah, we've still got boxes and boxes of it. So.
And what we've done really well, like we've made, how much would have we made out of it so far?
Probably about $16,000.
Yeah, $16,000. We've done okay financially, but the point is our garage is still full of stuff, the same 15 items, and we reckon it's the wrong way to go. Like you, Jay and Ryan, you've got like 2,700 items, haven't you, on your site? And we think that you have to do that. You've got to be wider as opposed to deep in your sales. If you've got multiples of things, that's good, but it's probably, we think that it's more important to have, the more items you have.
Variety, I think, is more important. Like, we just had too much of each item, and a lot, quite a few of the things just have been very hard to sell.
Yeah.
Some of the things just, aren't interesting to people. So a lot of, we've made good money from it, but we wouldn't do it that way again.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we call this eBay Scavengers because for us, it's about, going out and finding the things that nobody wants and selling them. So that means, obviously, that you'll probably have a lot of different items, and that's the way it seems to work for us. I don't really understand those businesses that focus on, they only sell iPhone cases or only one thing.
Yeah. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
But they do. They seem to. Yeah. Yeah. No, variety is so important. But we also, not only do we go and do the garage sales, we also go to the wholesalers. There's a place in Sydney called Kippax Street in Surrey Hills, and it was where all the the Jewish clothing manufacturers used to be when things were made in Australia or made in America before everything was made in China.
Right.
And that's sort of been taken over with all the Chinese wholesalers now. So we go down there and negotiate with them and try and buy some. You've got to get pretty unusual stuff for it to work, though, don't you?
One of our daughters is doing fashion at college, so she's got a pretty good idea for a good eye for what people want, and so she'll come and she sort of finds the things that are a little bit different, and she's modelled things and her friends model them, and it seems to work quite well actually. It's the unusual things that sell really well. We've just learnt just to get a few of each things rather than a whole lot of them, and that's actually working really well.
So when you guys go down there, I mean, how many clothes are you buying at one time? Like a big truckload or just a handful?
No, just maybe 5 different things and only about 5 of each thing at the same time. So
okay.
Yeah, so not a real lot, but we can go there fairly often, just get a few things and see how it goes.
So when you guys were just getting started, the process that you've just talked about, how were you learning how to do eBay? Because I find eBay, isn't as easy as people think it is. Like, there's all kinds of buttons. Yeah. So how'd you learn?
A lot of it was just trial and error, really. Just learning from our mistakes. That was really how we did a lot of it. We getting the posting right even, like we made quite a few mistakes with that to start with, and just working out what actually would sell, what people were going to be interested in. So it's taken a little while, but and
I used to like to argue with the silly people,
Oh yeah.
I had to learn to stop arguing. I go, It's fine. Have your money back.
Right, exactly.
Argue it.
That's a hard lesson to learn.
I know.
Yeah, it is.
I love to hear that because, we learned too that we never argue anymore with anyone. If someone wants their money back, we just say, send it back. We give them their money, no questions asked. It's the easiest way.
Yeah.
Occasionally you get someone who's, really crazy where you say to them, here, have your money back. And they go, no, that's not good enough.
Right, I know.
Yeah.
Nothing's good enough. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's very occasional, though. Most of the people are just fantastic that we deal
most
with.
people are happy, but, you always get some people.
Yep.
And I think you mentioned in one of your podcasts, too, about the people that ask lots and lots of questions are really the people that aren't going to buy, and that's one thing we've really found as well. So when we heard that, we thought, oh, it's not just us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. It was the best thing when we realized that you can block people. We just did it
Last night.
Yeah, last night someone started asking a lot of really weird questions, and we were just like, you know what? I don't want to sell anything to this person.
That's a good sign. Actually, I sold a bunch of stuff to someone who had all these questions, and then she wrote back and said she wanted to return it, and I said, I knew it. I knew I should have blocked her. So, yeah, you're not the only ones.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it?
But we also go to auctions as well, and we have what they call at auctions, they call them table lots. Mm-hmm. And so there'll be a table with a whole bunch of boxes on it, and in the boxes there's just a variety of stuff. There might be, vases and old records and lamps and boots and shoes and clothing. Anything, can be in these box lots. And you bid on the box lots. And it's really funny that the last auction we went to, all the dealers are there, and the auctioneer didn't even have a clue what was going on. They're all selling for $5 a box, and in that $5 a box you might get, 10, 15 things that you can put up for sale for, 10, 20 times the price of what you paid for. It's fantastic. But all of a sudden we're at this auction, and one of the boxes ended out, it was just, we couldn't tell. It looked like every other box, Mm-hmm. I started bidding at $2, and before we knew it, what did it go up to?
It went up to about $2,000.
Wow. Something was in there.
Yeah, it was some vase in there that was worth a fortune.
Yep.
And the auctioneer said to the dealers, he said, I don't know what's in that box that you want, but make sure you take the whole box.
Man, it's so interesting because we have the same thing in America. A lot of these auctions are when someone passes away, so all their stuff gets sold off. And they have that same thing. They'll have tables of boxes, and then you bid on the box. And we do that too. We buy a box for $5 to $10 and then sell everything inside of it and probably make, $300 to $500 very often. So, and every once in a while, there'll be something really, really cool in there. Like we once found an old camera that we sold for,
$1,000.
Yeah. So.
You've got to get lucky.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, you also say that you buy stuff, I guess it's like on a Craigslist-like thing over there? You buy bargains?
Yeah, well, what there's an auction company, an auctioneering company called Grays Online, .com.au, and people, instead of going to the auction and putting your hand up, you bid online. And it was always really good to buy, like, liquidators or people selling up businesses would put their stuff on there, but it's sort of got everybody's bidding there now, so it's just got it's not quite as good. And so, our advice to people in Australia, you gotta use the shoe leather and get out to the real auctions and put up your hand and enjoy the whole experience. And have fun with the auctioneers and have the dealers beating you and all that sort of thing. So
we go to auctions often on Friday night, so it's kind of like a date night. It's for us because they'll often have like a snack bar and they sell coffee, and it's like a real fun atmosphere.
Yeah, you can have a really good time there.
That's the thing about this, which, at least Sharon and I can be together. Like if And you guys have talked about this before, but, we sort of treasure our time together, and we like being busy, but it's something we can do together and, make an income from and not have to worry about saving up a massive big amount as a nest egg for when we retire, because you got a great business that keeps providing the money going through, and all you're doing is what you like, isn't it?
It doesn't really feel like work. It's, it's just fun, really.
Yeah, people call it.
It is hard work.
Yeah, people call it passive income. I really wouldn't call eBay passive, but it definitely is much more enjoyable because you kind of we fit it into our lives, so it just feels like we're just doing what we would be doing anyway. So.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not really sure that there is anything such thing as passive income. Like even real estate investment, you've got to go and paint the house and look after your tenants and all that sort of thing. So, it's a pretty consistent cash flow, which is pretty good.
So how long did it take you guys to decide you were going to sell on eBay to actually be making enough money every month to be comfortable?
We're not quite there yet, are we,
No,
Sharon?
no,
We're getting there, and one of the biggest problems is nobody around you believes that you could really make an income out of eBay. And, you sort of you've got to be convinced. And I think listening to your podcast, we go, oh, we're not just crazy.
Yeah.
Or maybe we are.
It can actually work.
It can actually work. So we're not quite there. We're doing other work and other jobs as well. But, we're getting there. We're probably halfway there, and we'll be there pretty soon, I think.
We both want to be able to work in it full, do that as our full-time job, basically.
Yeah,
right.
So we're both doing other stuff as well. So.
Right. Well, I mean, we've talked about it before. I mean, we also do other kinds of work as well. And eBay was always a supplemental thing, but eBay has become, we make probably more money now than we do our other job, but we like to do our other work as well. It's just eBay allows us to pick and choose the other kinds of work we do. So
yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And so, as you were saying, people around you don't think that this could be real. I mean, did you talk about eBay with like friends of yours or family? How did they feel?
We sure do.
They think we're crazy eBay.
Yeah.
That's
because you are.
Our kids call me a crazy eBay lady.
Yeah, and I work in aged care when we're not doing this, and my office is near the CEO's office, and there's 1,000 people work in the company that I go and do that as well. And come lunchtime, I generally say to the CEO, why don't we go and buy some sushi for lunch? And he knows what I'm doing because I make him line up at the post office first and help get rid of all the parcels before we go for lunch. So I've got the CEO of our company helping me do the posting.
That's a great segue into my next question. How do you do your postage?
Well, in Australia, you can't have your postage picked up, can you?
Yeah, well, not the amount we do.
Yeah.
Like when...
What is it, 20 parcels a day you have to do? And got to be a business, and so they don't really pick up houses.
Yeah, so we actually have to take it to the post office physically and sell it over, post it over the counter.
Wow.
So Sherry's the mad packer.
Yep, I do all the packing. Make sure it's done properly.
Yep.
And then Sam normally goes off and posts it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So in Australia, though, they allow you to print labels at home in the postage?
Yeah, we can print the labels, but we have to take it up to the post office and post it from the post.
So do you do labels?
Postage is pretty expensive over here.
Yeah, Australian postage is quite expensive, so that's where we come a little bit unstuck selling overseas because our postage is so expensive.
Yeah.
So we often subsidise our overseas postage. Like we'll put on eBay sea parcel or sea mail, so it goes in a boat, but we actually pay the extra for it to be air mail. and gets people quickly. But otherwise, if we were to do sea mail to United States, it'd take 12 or 13 weeks to get there. So.
What?
Well, it's a long way by boat.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, if you put it going email, the price of the postage puts people off a little bit. So, you know, sometimes we can build it into the price of what we're selling, you know, build extra postage into it and cover it that way.
Yeah.
So we're working that out.
We just sold today, didn't we? We sell a lot of Volkswagen Combi memorabilia. Combis, we call the vans, the old Volkswagen vans combis over here. I don't know what you call them over there, but, you know, there's a lot of, like, surf culture and hippie culture amongst the...
they're very popular.
Very popular. So, but we just sold a couple to the US today, and the postage, like... what did that cost? It was about $38 to send 2 little money boxes across to the States. You know?
Wow.
So it was a lot of money.
I mean, I guess that works against you and helps us because I guess your money is worth more than ours because we sell...
I think so, yeah.
We sell at least... We probably sell 5 or 6 things a month to Australia. And I'm just amazed at how much people are willing to pay for not only the item, but then the postage. It's just really expensive.
Yeah, look, things are a lot more expensive. Actually, the Australian dollar's gone down to 89 cents of the US dollar. But even so, I remember we went on holidays to the US when the Australian dollar was 50 cents of the American dollar. And we were still astounded, even with the conversion, how cheap
so
things
much
were.
Cheaper.
Yeah, we went.
So that probably works in your favour over there. Because it's, you know, people can get things so much cheaper buying them from the US than what they can just buying them in Australia.
And it's probably because you've got, you know, 260 or 280 million people,
right?
And we've only got 23 million. So you know, everybody wants to sell the United States, all the big people. So, you know, you're going to get it cheaper than us.
Yeah, we were, I think we told you we were over in Sydney in February, and we had been to Australia once before, but we just forgot how expensive it was to go out to eat and just to really do anything. And we even tried scavenging some too, and just, you know, we went to some of these, like, charity shops or whatever, and it just didn't really...
Yeah, everything's too expensive for us.
I wish we had known you, and we could have gone hung out at some auctions.
You could have stayed with us. That would have been
Let's talk about how would you sell. So everything is buy it now, or how do you do that?
Yeah, pretty much. We really haven't had a lot of good luck with auctions.
Yeah, the auctions just haven't really seemed to work for us. So we found if we list things as buy it now and just leave them there till they sell. So just to, you know, list them until they sell. It seems to be the best thing that works for us.
What was those coasters, Sharon?
Yeah, we had some like a set of coasters, and they had like a picture of Marilyn Monroe on them. And we've had them sitting there for about a year. They didn't actually cost us that much money, but we've had them sitting there for about a year, and we've just sold them, 2 of them this week. So we've got no idea why all of a sudden they've just sold. But one sold, and then 2 days later, the next one sold.
I'm so glad that you said that, because we always try and tell people that, like, don't get impatient. That's why you need to have a big inventory, because sometimes, it takes 12 months for something to finally sell, but it will sell.
But everything's something's selling every day.
Right.
Yes, that's right, yes. And everything sells eventually, yes. You've just got to be patient, like you say.
Yeah.
So that's sort of something we've learned along the way as well, just to, not get too impatient when they don't sell, because they eventually will.
We're kind of coming up on the half-hour mark here. Could you guys briefly talk about what its process is? Because we love to hear how, 2 people do it. You split the work up, or each a list on your own? How does that work?
We find... like I'm better at taking the photographs than Sam is, because I'm, a little bit fussy, and I take my time to, get the light right and make sure that the photos turn out well. But Sam's very creative, so he's actually better at coming up with the, the way to describe everything. So he sort of, I'll take the photos, he does the listing generally, and I do the packaging because I'm sort of fairly fussy at making sure everything's packed properly, and so I do that, and then he does the posting at the post office. So that sort of is the way we've worked it out. It seems to work for us.
And I don't mind sitting on the computer listing stuff. I'll do it at night time, watching a movie. So I think Mikey says he does that too. And you don't watch the movie properly, and but still, I don't mind that. A lot of people don't like doing that, but I don't mind just listing. So because that's the thing, and we find that as like you found that I don't know why it happens, but as soon as you sit down and start listing, all of a sudden the next day you're selling stuff, even if it's not the stuff listed. It must be something in the program with eBay. I don't know how it works.
We were just talking about that over dinner last night, that they must have some kind of algorithm where if they see it, you putting up a new stuff, they re-index you or something, but who knows?
Yeah. Seems to be the more active you are on the site, the better everything starts to sell again.
Well, it seems
list.
Yeah. It seems
always be listing.
It seems like you figure that out. Always be listing is right. Yeah. Is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about? Share with our American listeners.
Yeah. Look, I think it's important because you're like, it's great if you're doing it in couples, and you've talked about that before. But I think it's important to connect to these podcasts. So that you realise you're part of a bigger community that are doing the same thing. And there's a big encouragement, because a lot of the time you sort of feel, I'm the only one, and am I doing it wrong? And you realise that everyone has the same little problems and the same good things that happen to them. And it's a fantastic way to connect by listening to the podcast. And I think congratulations for doing it for us all. We really appreciate it.
It's just great to hear, other people find the same sort of problems and the same things that work really well. So, it's just encouraging, and it just helps you realise that you're on the right track with it and just keep going.
It's funny that you say that, because when we first started this, we were talking to, it's Mikey and Wendy, and we were just like, is anyone going to care that we sell on eBay? So it's really...
Is anyone out there?
It's really nice to hear that, we aren't the only ones in our houses,
listing all afternoon,
sorting junk,
Well, you got one couple listening. They might be from Australia, but you got one.
Well, thanks so much for talking to us today.
Thanks very much.
Thanks so much. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.